timelines are always moving. They're always moving. And I don't think it's actually helpful most of the time for us to have information about what we think is going to happen in the future. What's most important is, what is the understanding I need about myself and how I'm operating to transform within, uncover the energy and the blocks that are holding me back from being my most joyful, most happiest, most fulfilled self.
This is By Joyan Season 2. I'm your host, Joyan Chan, and every Wednesday we bring you inspiring stories, powerful message, and fun conversations with me and my special guests and friends, and it's my personal mission to empower you to live and lead a life with joy. This podcast is for you if you're looking for more joy, courage, passion, and purpose in your life. Now let's dive into today's episode and get ready to laugh, learn, and live your life to the fullest. If I've ever felt the ache for something more, a deeper connection, a sense of real fulfillment, you are in the right place. Our guest today helps truth seekers like you uncover the hidden blocks keeping you stuck, using her unique ability to read energy and channel powerful insights. With over 15 years of experience guiding everyone from billionaires to celebrities, she has seen one truth time and time again. The answers you are searching for are not out there, they are within. So she's here today to empower you to cut through the noise, reconnect to your truth, and step into a life of freedom, joy, and deeper purpose. So, guys, help me in welcoming the Master Life Coach, Channel, Energist, Lydia Kimmerling. Lydia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so let's start with the most important question, and which is the moment that everything changed for you. So you had a mind-blowing encounter with beings who delivered a life-changing message. So talk to us about that.
Oh yeah, that was quite a year. There's been a few moments before that which were kind of life-changing awakening moments, but anyone who's been on an awakening journey will know that it can happen in stages. But 2023 was a year of very fast ascension, and it started with my meditation starting to change from just a regular meditation to my hands moving, starting to read energy, receiving messages. And then I think it was around April time that year, my mentor passed away. When he passed away, I started to hear his voice. He started to speak to me. So I knew that something different was happening. And a few days after his passing, I was sat outside on the balcony, and I was a little upset. And then as I came back into my living room, I felt this energy kind of almost kick me back in the back of the knees, not in an aggressive way, but to get my attention. And as I did, I kind of sort of fell onto the sofa. And as soon as I sat down, my arm was taken up into the sky. So it was lifted up, and it wasn't me lifting it up. And I heard my mentor's voice. He was there, and he said, "I'm here, don't worry, everything's going to be okay." And then I saw 7 blue cloaked beings sort of appear in front of me. I mean, they weren't in the living room, but visually they were there in front of me. And they said to me, "Lydia, you're going to find out exactly who you are and why you're here. And your energy is your currency." And then I kind of had an energetic activation. Then after that, life just got pretty wild, to be honest, but all in a good way.
Okay, that gives me chill. Just hearing that, I couldn't imagine what would it be like to be seeing beings or even receiving that kind of message. Felt that in your body, right? The energy and all that, and life could never be the same again. So what happened after that? Like, did you receive these psychic abilities right after the encounter, or how did it change for you?
It was progressive. I didn't really know what they meant by my energy being my currency. So that was a journey in itself to understand that, take that inwards, and really take care of my energy. And so, I had been very, very busy. I had a thriving business. I was also a single mum of a toddler. My life had become a little chaotic with the amount that I was doing. So the first process was to start stripping everything back and really learning to be comfortable in the stillness, which meant there was a lot of different fears that I needed to face, because anybody who's been successful and been busy will know that, well, maybe you won't know because you haven't tried, but as soon as you try to be still, there's this feeling of, oh, but if I'm not doing something, everything's going to go wrong, I'm going to fail, So I faced a lot of that. But I continued to meditate, and these meditations were getting kind of bigger and bigger. And I call them activations. There was energy being pulled from my body, and it was like I was in collaboration with spirit. So I was on my own, but I was definitely working with a team unseen, and they were just pulling energy from my body that was connected to negative thinking, limiting beliefs, karma. And I had about 100 of those over that year, to the point where it opened up the gift of being able to channel as well. But one main activation was when actually Jesus appeared in front of me, and so did John the Baptist, and they pulled out my baptism that I had as a child, and then gave me a new baptism of light, and explained to me that my whole nervous system was being reset so that I could hold these very high frequencies of light. And so since then, that's what I've continued to understand, is that I went through a kind of crazy multidimensional physical and spiritual reset that means I'm now this kind of premium radio that can hold much higher frequencies of information than most of us can on a regular kind of day-to-day basis.
So I'm just curious, before this encounter, you were meditating, you were doing the spiritual work, you were working on yourself with a mentor, right? And unfortunately passed away. So was it one of your intentions? Was it one of your goals, like spiritual goals, to become a channel? Like, was it something that you're actively working towards, or it just happened?
No, it just happened. So I had been on a spiritual path before, but whilst my work definitely had a spiritual undertone, I should explain kind of my upbringing, because I was brought up in a Christian household. My dad was a pastor, but I left home when I was 16. It just didn't fit for me. The religious side of things, there was something that just wasn't right. So I left home at 16, which I can now say, looking back, was to find myself. I was on this quest to really find myself. And for a long time, I was an atheist. But as I started to get to know myself better, which was through coaching, as soon as I started to train as a coach, you can't help but take all of that training inwards. The spiritual path started to unfold for me. I didn't have a desire that I was consciously aware of to be a channel, but I'd watched things and I'd been interested in things, so it wasn't completely something new to me.
Mm. So you become a channel, and how did it then turn it into career for you? How did it, lead you down the path of working with billionaires and celebrities? Like, talk to us about that, the journey.
So it's been a natural progression from the coaching, which I'd done for a very long time and worked with thousands of people. Now I would kind of put everything under the label of being a healer. So I use all of the modalities, the energy work, the channeling, the coaching, to facilitate big, profound healing in people's lives. You would anticipate, I've just continuously been guided, and one direction I was guided in was actually finding a new mentor. So whilst I was going through all of this, there was times where it was scary. If anyone's been through a dark night of the soul, or you have, it's like you die to yourself. This is what's going on during a process like this, is the ego is being completely deconstructed. The belief systems that you've lived by are being completely deconstructed. So, you're kind of like on this wild roller coaster, holding on for dear life. And I didn't have a mentor. And so I was asking for one. I spoke to a few people, but nobody was fitting. And then I think February 2024, last year, I was watching a podcast, and there was a woman on there who was sharing her story of living in India with an incredible saint and witnessing the miracles that he'd performed. And as soon as I heard this, as soon as I saw her, I just got goosebumps all over, and I was like, right, that's the path I'm going down. So I've been studying with her for over a year now, and this is really working with divine energy to transfer that energy. You're acting as the channel for that energy, for the soul to receive and to then create transformation. And so it seamlessly kind of ended up in a beautiful place that all makes sense now.
Yeah. So how exactly do you help people? What is the kind of work that you do with people?
So usually the people who I work with have in some way already been kind of successful in a way. Life is good, or it should be good, but it still feels like something's missing. So it's like there's a block, something's blocking them. So my work is about uncovering these blocks and then moving that energy so that you have the clarity and direction. And the way that I do that is we start off with coaching. So I use the masterful coaching. I've got thousands of hours of experience to kind of unpack the mind. And it might be that, I don't know if I want to be in my job anymore, or I'm not sure if I'm happy in my relationship, or I'm just asking myself what will make me truly happy. Like the same things that everybody goes through, right? But my work is particularly deep because I have this ability to see and read energy. So once I start working with somebody, once I start coaching, I'm very quickly able to get to the source of what's really going on. So as soon as we get to the source of what's really going on, and there's some clarity because the person I'm working with has really dropped into their heart, then I will channel the highest energetic perspective as well, which is a high level spiritual understanding of what's going on. I'm not here to fortune tell. Whilst I do get psychic messages about the future, what I've come to understand in this work is timelines are always moving. They're always moving. And I don't think it's actually helpful most of the time for us to have information about what we think is going to happen in the future. What's most important is, what is the understanding I need about myself and how I'm operating to transform within, uncover the energy and the blocks that are holding me back from being my most joyful, most happiest, most fulfilled self. And then we finish with an energy healing. And the energy healing is the work that I've learned through the saint Sri Kalashwar, and the lineages with Sri Kalashwar, Jesus, and Shirdi Baba. So I'm just a channel for them, sending the energy through me and then to the person that I'm working with.
Yeah. And I saw this line on your website, which caught my attention. It says, success always seemed easy, but real happiness, that was harder to find. So my question is, how did you come to this realization that success wasn't enough? I know you were in TV industry, if I'm not wrong, right? You were high achiever, doing super well, successful on the outside, right? But you found yourself miserable, like so many people.
Yeah.
You come to this realization that success wasn't enough, and how did you start searching and redefining happiness for yourself? And for everyone who is listening, how do we find real happiness?
Yeah, great question. And you're exactly right. It was my personal experience. I left home at 16. I was really successful at an early age, working in TV from 17 to 21. By the time I was 21, I was an assistant producer in London. But then I ended up moving to Panama. I opened up my own restaurant. So I was there until 24, 25. I came back, I was a hip hop dance teacher. Then I was a corporate coach. Like, I did so many different things before the age of 27. And every time I felt a level of dissatisfaction or unhappiness, all I did was, well, I'll change my life, or I'll move to another country, or I'll change my hair. And then at 27, I found myself on my knees in child's pose, palms facing upwards, begging a God at that point that I didn't believe in for answers. And I was asking, what will make me truly happy? And I realized that I had been placing my happiness at some point in the future. And now I would call it this happiness waiting game. Oh, when I get there, then I'll be happy. Then I will have made it. Then I'll be fulfilled. Well, you do that enough times and realize that actually it's never enough. You have to really question, am I doing the right thing? So I made a commitment to myself in that moment to take full responsibility for my happiness and to discover, well, what does it mean to be truly happy right now? And so that moment was what led me on the path of coaching. And then as I started to get clients and people, whose lives are on paper were good, we should be happy. You've got a home, you've got friends, you've got some money coming in, you've got your health, but are still really empty on the inside. I quickly learned that whilst we are looking outside, seeking that wholeness in what we can accomplish versus really healing any lack that we have from within, you'll never really be truly content, because everything that you feel on the inside, everything that you're experiencing on the inside is then mirrored externally. That is your reality.
Yeah, which is why you talk about inner success, inner wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are more important than external wealth, external success. So I have a question. So if fulfillment and the sense of fulfillment, joy, happiness, right, had a recipe, what ingredients would they require, and which one do people tend to neglect the most?
Okay, so if fulfillment and happiness had a recipe, what would it include? What would be the ingredients? Okay. The ingredients to fulfillment and happiness. Well, it all comes down to love. That's it, right? We could say we're baking a cake made out of love. And that love needs to shine inwards, first of all. How you start to remember that you are love, there are many, many paths. There's multiple ingredients to that recipe, but it's a journey within. And it's about healing the relationship that you have with yourself. So when we come into these bodies, this planet, when we come to Earth, you look at any toddler, they're usually really happy, right? They've got a great relationship with themselves because everything they're experiencing is within, and they're deeply connected to source energy, right? Which I would call God, but you could say the universe. It really, really, from my perspective, doesn't matter what you call the energy of creation. As you start to do whatever it takes to love yourself, you're also loving God, because God is within you. That creation energy is within you. And the more that you connect to that energy of creation, the more you remember who you truly, truly, truly are. And you're not relying on yourself anymore. You're not relying on, I have to be this way and I have to do this thing to feel good, because you are connected to a infinite source of joy, happiness, bliss, peace.
So how do we as ordinary people connect to the source, connect to the creation of all?
Well, you already are, right? It's not. You don't have to be a channel. You don't have to have a big ascension experience. It is you. It is you, right? It created you, but you are not separate from it because we are all one. So it's like, okay, imagine. So you've got Joyan, right? And you've got many different characters that you play in your life. You know, you are a podcaster, you're a friend, you're a daughter. And with each of those mirrors, you show up slightly differently. Like there's a slightly different aspect, but they all come back to the source of being Joyan.
Mm.
Yeah. So I hope I'm saying your name
Yeah,
correctly.
correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And it's the same with source energy. It is playing a character through us. So an aspect of the energy is Lydia, but it all comes back to God. And so you are connected to it at all times, but a part of the experience of this life here on earth is that you forget where you've really come from, who you really are, and you start to believe in a lot of the ideas and beliefs that society, your parents, school, and this creates your character, which isn't always serving you in the best way. So as you start to go on this inner journey, you really start to ask yourself the truth. Is that what I really believe? Do I really believe that I'm stupid? Do I really believe that I'm not good enough to go for that job? Do I really believe that I have to have this, this, and this to deserve that? And so the more that you get to the truth in yourself, the more that you become the truth, which is that you are naturally happy and joyful and content.
So what would you say is the one question that you wish more people would ask themselves daily in order to achieve a life of joy, happiness, and fulfillment again, right? Going back to what we talked about earlier, or to connect with ourselves, to heal the relationship with ourselves. Like, what is one question you wish more people ask themselves more?
You know, a great question is to ask yourself, what is the truth here, really? And to really, really sit with it. Because we're often lying to ourselves. But we think those lies are keeping us safe, but they're actually it's just so that we can kind of settle, you know, because doing the work is work. But it's so worth it.
So, since you are doing the work and you're helping others to do the work, what is what is still the most human struggle that you still deal with, despite all the work that you have done, despite all your spiritual wisdom, what is something you're still struggling with as a human?
Oh, you know, yeah. I'm still very much a human. Oh, there's so many, you know, because they go layers deep and you start to see them in, it's like you start with this wide lens microscope, and then again, my way of explaining is the closer I've become to God, the more that God is working with me in this relationship to really look, really see, really, really wash, purify your soul, purify. And so, I mean, something that I'm working on right now is really, really being lovable without any of the external. Like, really, am I really lovable just for what's on the inside? And getting really telling myself the truth of what's there. And then a day-to-day thing, you know, is surrender, because a lot of this is about surrendering. And actually, a part of the story that I missed out was in November 2022, because life had become so busy, and my toddler, I mean, he might have been, I think he was about 4. He wasn't sleeping. He hadn't slept for 4 years. So I was really sleep deprived. My business was blowing up. And I was like, I have to stop. And I remember very clearly saying to God at the time, this can't be what you want for me. Yes, I had the dream house with the pool and, the business, and I was living on an island, like I could see the sea. It was amazing. The way I feel, this can't be what you want for me. If it is meant to be easier, show me how. And so that was a big question that I asked. And then I made a business decision, which was really from my masculine. I'd been really working on trying to be more in my feminine because I'd lived so much in my masculine. And I cheated on myself for a moment there, sabotaged myself, made a big decision in business, cost loads of money, and it just tipped me right into burnout. So I just let that all go, lost loads of money, and surrendered. And once again, found myself on my knees, but this time in my garden, literally begging, like, okay. And I said to God, do you know what? You can take everything. Take everything I believe to know about myself to be true. I just want to know what my purpose is. I want to know what I'm here for. And I want that fulfillment. So I got it, right? And that definitely happened. And staying in surrender, even when around you, I'm a single mom. I could write a story that would sound negative about my life if I wanted to, if that's the perspective I wanted to have. I don't, right? But it still requires huge amounts of surrender every day. So there's still very much the human operating.
Right. Would you say being able to surrender is your secret, is your superpower? Because I'm not sure how masculine you are today. Because I'm also very masculine, right? I want to do things, I want to create things, I want to build things, I want to, you know, build businesses and be successful, right? All that. And I struggle with surrendering. So would you say that's your secret superpower? And how is that how you balance the mystical side of your gifts and wisdom with practical, real life, real world, approach and solutions?
Yeah, and that's always been really important to me. Yes, of course, what I'm talking about can sound really woo-woo, but I've always wanted to have a foot in the real world. That's who my audience very much is, and the people I work with, that I'm super practical. So I don't ever get lost in the woo-woo-ness of it all. But my superpower is surrendering. I was gifted strong faith through my father because as a child, I grew up in a family of faith, a household of faith. So whilst religion didn't fit for me, I constantly saw my family operating on faith. There's no money, faith. A check would just come through the front door, right?
What?
Yeah. So there was constantly miracles, or hearing of miracles, or just I was around it. So that was integrated deeply into my soul, and so that is a strength for sure. And what I teach often, because I work with so many women like yourself, right, that we can actually create so much without having to push. And that was the thing that I'd been doing, was pushing my energy out, which is why I think they said to me, your energy is your currency. And all I'd been doing was pushing my energy out, like, make it happen. I can make anything happen. And I could, and I did, but I was also exhausted and nothing was like enough, I dreamt of being in all the magazines. I'd see myself in the magazines. I dreamt of being on TV. I'd see myself on TV. On stage, TEDx, all of these things. But it was like never enough, And so actually the magic here is that, first of all, you have to kind of believe that you can be successful without pushing everything. Then it starts to drop into a knowing. And once it drops into a knowing, you can turn it into faith. And as soon as you operate from the energy of faith, it kind of acts as this workman, right, that leaves you as an energy and it goes outside, starts to do the work for you, because now you're in surrender. So the energy of surrender is actually connecting with faith and something greater than you to collaborate and actually bring on your path really what was meant for you versus what your ego is telling you you need to have, you need to do to be lovable or successful or validated.
Personally, I don't come from a religious background. Like my family, they are not very religious. That's not something that we talk about. I'm a free thinker, right? Which is why I believe in the universe.
Mhm.
So, and faith has not been the part of my journey, growing up. So, how can I, for someone like me, I'm sure a lot of people out there as well, right? How can we develop faith so that we can surrender more and trust more and believe that we are well taken care of with or without, a religion per se, right? So, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah. So let's take faith out of a religious context
Okay.
because faith is an energy, I'd say, that is available for everybody. It's like just imagine that you can go and pick up faith off the shelf and purchase it, right? You don't have to subscribe to anything. You already have faith because you said, well, I just kind of believe in the universe. Fine, right? That's where I wouldn't have been saying God or Jesus or any of that a few years ago at all. That's been my path, okay? And there isn't just one path at all. So you already have faith. Faith is available to everybody, but you won't fully purchase it until you use it, okay? So you have to want to know if it's true or not. And to know if something's true or not, you have to operate in it. So you're never going to know if faith can really bring you something, manifest something onto your path whilst you're surrendered until you surrender. And even in that, right, even just in that, think about the number of blocks that you're going to need to face, okay? So whilst we're not surrendering, whilst we're not even willing to try, we're actually programmed into so much fear. So this is what my clients come to me with, is actually what is driving them, all of the drive towards success or whatever it's been in their lives. And I've worked with some really successful people. It's been fear and it's been lack. But we have to look at that, work on it, release that energy, which is all coming from the ego, to then soften into the heart. It's a difference between living your life from your head and your ego to your heart and your soul.
I know you also talk about or teach law of attraction, manifestation, and you just did, right? So what would you say is the most powerful energy for manifesting? Is it still faith and surrender or something else?
Love. Love is the energy that brought everything into creation. When you love things into creation, right? Think about the greatest manifestation that humans create, and that is it's a baby. And normally, not always, but it's when two people come together, love, 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 love. Let's make a baby, right? It's the greatest manifestation. Being in love is also a practice, an art of surrender as well. Can I love myself enough to not be stressed? Can I love myself enough to allow myself to relax? Can I love this enough that I bring joy and energy to it? So whatever you're doing with that energy, it will create. And this is really what the two energies of God are, love and power. So as you come into love, which can also feel like joy, passion, excitement about something before it's here, right? You will create power to generate it into reality.
Okay. Let's give an example to the sake of our listeners, right? Let's say if I want to, anyone, right? Okay, give me the most common thing that people want to manifest in today's world.
Money or a relationship.
Right. So, okay, if I want to manifest more money, or I know we have to be specific about the amount that we want to manifest. So let's just say 50K, right? If I want to manifest 50K do I even need a timeline? By end of June, for example,
Mm-hmm.
what would I have to do? What would be the steps?
So it would be understanding really, why do you want to manifest that, right? If the main reason people don't manifest, well, there's two main reasons why people don't manifest what they want. The first one is actually because what's driving it is a huge amount of lack, right? I won't be happy until I have that 50K. Well, then you're not happy,
Mm.
right? Or that it's not a part of the divine plan. So there are some things that you just won't manifest because you have karma, and you need to live out and play out that karma, because it's energetic law, right? And that God is really teaching you something, especially if you submit to a more spiritual path. Oftentimes when people, and this happened to me, when you commit to a spiritual path, you get stripped of everything, right? And you just can't manifest, because God's like, no, you need to go to the edge of all of these beliefs that you have so that they dissolve. But those are the main reasons why people won't. But if you to manifest it, you want to feel good about it, right? So what is the emotion and feeling really behind this 50K? And to be in gratitude for what you already have, to celebrate what you already have. So a lot of the time when I'm working with people in business, let's say they're launching business, right? And you know how it is, like at the beginning of business, oh my God, it's tough, right? You're trying to get a few followers, da, da, da. And they're like, oh, I've only got 2 followers. I'm like, celebrate those 2 followers, like get really excited about them, right? So it's being in that state of gratitude, joy, love, and then the next steps will unfold. And before you know it, you'll see and realize that you've brought into reality what you thought was impossible.
Yeah, because everything is energy, and energy is the currency, right? So,
Yes.
and for someone who is, I'm sure you have come across people who are just, skeptical. They are very logical. They don't believe in any of the things that we talk about. Energy, manifestation, law of attraction. They just don't believe that's that to be true, right? So, for someone who is deeply logical and skeptical, what is the first step would you recommend to opening up to energy work and also spiritual work and inner transformation?
So my work oftentimes is to get people into their heart. So meditation. I have a client right now, a guy. He's been successful, and then he's not, and then he is. He's so stuck in the block of anger. There's such a heavy block of anger, and so a lot of the work has been really deepening the meditation process to be able to get out of the ego and into the heart. Because once you open up the heart chakra, once you open up the energy of the heart, it starts to command. And then all of this noise will start to fall away. And once the energy of the heart chakra is open, all of the other chakras are going to open. And then you become this energetic channel, and you've got these chakras, these energy points that are working and processing energy for you, which makes it so much easier. But obviously we're taught to use this from day one. We can all get very stuck in the head and in the mind. And there's a lot of filters that need to be broken down. But essentially, I'd say, meditation. Meditation is a great place to start. What I'd recommend, or we could do it now. We could do it quickly, 5 minutes now. Yeah. And then, so listeners, they can join in, right? So everybody, we're going to take Joyan through this just live. All right. So placing your feet on the ground.
Okay.
And I also just feel that having your palms facing upwards, resting on your knees, is a really nice open posture. And so then just bringing your eyes closed, just allowing your eyelids to feel heavy. And as you're breathing, just breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. I want you to pay attention to noticing how your breath feels at the back of your throat. So as you breathe in, you'll feel that there's a gentle vibration that occurs. Just bring all of your attention to that vibration. Now I want you to imagine that there's a pole running through the center of your body, and in a moment we're going to activate this pole like a magnet. So when I count down from 3, we'll activate it, and it's going to pull all of your energy back into your center. Don't overthink it. There's no right or wrong. Just imagining, using your imagination. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now imagining that that's activated. It's a magnet. It's pulling all of your energy in from the front, from the sides, from the back. Everything returning back inwards. As you start to feel yourself pulling in, as if it's squeezing all of the energy back into your core. Still with that gentle vibration at the back of the throat. Whenever you notice your mind is wandering, just come back to that sensation. I invite you now to bring your attention to your third eye. So that's the space between your eyebrows. And I'd like you to imagine that you're drawing a line down from your third eye over the center of your body. So it's going to pass over your nose, just following this down really slowly over your lips, bringing all of your attention down over your chin, following it down as it goes over your neck, all the way. And you're going to just keep taking this down so it passes over the heart, over the belly button, until you arrive just at the space below your belly button, putting both hands there, so actually placing your hands below your belly button. Just take a nice deep breath into your stomach there. As you release, release with a sigh. Let's do 2 more of those, breathing in. 1 more. Just noticing now that where your attention goes is also where your energy goes, and you brought all of your attention down and in. So now your energy is down and in. You are now within yourself. I'm just going to take you back to your heart now. So tracing that line back up slowly, but this time just landing on the heart. Placing both hands on the heart, one on top of the other. Take a deep breath into the heart, and each time you breathe in, I want you to imagine that there's a lotus flower there, and it's starting to blossom. So as you breathe in, you start to notice those petals open. 2 more breaths until that flower is completely open. And as you sit here now in your heart, I want you to bring your mother's face and just place your mother's face onto your heart. And start to connect with the love that your mother has given you. So much love. From the moment you were born, she's taken care of you, she's loved you, she's doted on you, she's been there for you when you've had difficult times. Just sending so much gratitude. She loves you, and you love her. And now bring your father to join your mother, and seeing them together, seeing the love that's in your family, and the love that you have for your dad. How he's been there, loving you, supporting you. Sending gratitude and thanks. And just taking a nice deep breath in here and imagining that you can breathe that love in. So take as much as you need. So breathing in from the heart, but sending that love throughout the system, throughout the body. And allowing a soft, gentle smile to sit on your face if you're not already. And just letting your hands now drop back down to your lap. Slowly blinking your eyes back open. And that's how.
Beautiful. I have tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love feels good.
Yeah. Thank you. That's so beautiful. I didn't get to do my meditations today, so everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try to meditate every day, trying.
Mm.
So yeah, it feels good. Thank you so much. It's something that's very unique. I have not done it before. In this specific type of meditation that you have just guided me through and my listeners. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much. Um, and I feel like this is the perfect end to this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we end, is there anything else that is on your heart still that you want to share with me and my listeners today? Is there anything else that you want to share?
Of course, life is difficult, right? And if you're struggling right now, I'm so sorry. Just want you to know that you're so loved. You're so, so loved. And there really is a way out. So I hope that today's meditation and some of my words have given you something to just remember who you are, and that really is somebody who's loved and happy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Now, before we end, we always end with our final five rapid fire questions. So,
Let's go.
yeah, I love that. But I have to tell you, every question has to be answered in one word or one sentence maximum.
All right.
All right. Okay. The first question is, what is one thing you wish you knew earlier?
God.
If you could relive one day of your life, which day would it be?
A date that I went on here in Ibiza. It was magical.
Oh, oh my god! I want to hear about that.
Afterwards.
Yes, after this recording. Never know. Third question: if you could master one skill you don't currently have, what would it be?
Singing. It's the one thing I can't really do
Singing.
well. Mm.
Now, if you could instantly solve one world problem, what would it be?
Unhappiness.
The last question is: what brings you the greatest joy?
I'll say my son. So, sometimes it's the opposite, but he does
I get
bring
it.
me a
Yeah,
lot of joy.
yeah. When you ask me, who do I love most? I say my parents, but sometimes it's the opposite. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much again.
Yeah.
Now, tell my people where they can find you if they want to connect with you, learn more about what you do, or even work with you. What are some of the ways they can work with you?
Yeah, so the most common way to work with me is my 90-minute profound healing session. You can book that via my website, which is thehappinessexplorer.com. Or I'm hanging out most over on Instagram, which is just my name, Lydia Kimmerling. So, come say hi, connect, follow me. Or, when you jump onto the website, there's a lot of free things there as well, meditations, programs. There's something to meet you where you're at, wherever you're at.
Awesome. Guys, I know you love this episode, so share this with a friend or a loved one and help them find their more today. And if you're new here, remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another episode coming to you every Wednesday. And I will always leave you the same way as I leave you with every other episode. Show up. The world needs you and you need you. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a joyful and amazing day ahead. Thank you again for tuning into Find Joy Joyan podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot and share it on your IG story and take findjoyjoyan_podcast so I know you are listening. And leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already done so. And remember to hit the subscribe button whether you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or any of your other favorite platforms. If you love what we are doing and want to become one of our sponsors, you can send me a DM to connect. And thanks for being here. I will see you soon in the next episode.